Greetings, Slip Hunter here for togetherweR Fridays, and the topic of the week is the addiction model for eating disorders. I picked the topic. I love this topic because I am a huge believer in the addiction model for eating disorders. Like an addiction, an eating disorder is an escape, a maladaptive coping strategy, and it's something that, there is a biological predisposal to and a personality predisposal to, and it is something that, you end up needing to be in an altered state, because having an eating disorder does put you in an altered state, and when you're doing recovery, it makes you really, really uncomfortable, not psychologically because you're not escaping anymore, but physically as well. And, it does feel like withdrawal. When I went to treatment, I had much worse withdrawal from my eating disorder symptoms than I did from substance. My substance withdrawal was practically non-existent because it was overshadowed by exercise withdrawal was the main one for me. When you're exercising and you have that predisposal in your brain for it to activate the dopamine pathway and be psychoactive and act just as if you're doing a drug, and give you that, the quote unquote runner's high, and give you the endorphins and kill your pain, and both your physical and your psychological pain. It's like doing an opiate. It really is. My exercise withdrawal when I was in residential was terrifying. It was so bad. For 2 weeks, I could not sleep. I just could not stop shaking and twitching, and it was a physical withdrawal. Because I wasn't, doing this chemical process to my brain anymore. It was, the only word for it is terrifying. I've already used that word. It was really, the treatment center I went to was very 12-step based, and whether or not you had a substance problem, there were people there who were just there for eating disorders and not there for substance abuse, and they still had to go to 12-step meetings, and because there was Eating Disorders Anonymous and Overeaters Anonymous and Anorexics and Bulimics Anonymous, and you can still use the 12 steps to recover from an eating disorder. I actually bought the Anorexics and Bulimics Anonymous big book over there in my luggage. And really, recovery takes abstinence from the behaviors. You're not abstaining from a substance, but you're abstaining from behaviors that are psychoactive and that are escapist and mood altering. And if you abstain from those behaviors, then your brain changes and then becomes receptive to recovery-oriented thinking. And if you relapse onto the behaviors, then, your brain changes back. And it becomes harder and harder for recovery-oriented thinking to penetrate. You know, and just like an addiction, an eating disorder is, I believe, a chronic, relapsing disease. I believe that even if I'm asymptomatic for a very long time, just like an alcoholic is always an alcoholic, even when they're not an active alcoholic, I am always going to be a bulimic, even if I'm not an active bulimic, even if I'm a bulimic in recovery. Because, even if I've closed the door on the disorder, it's still going to be there outside the door waiting. And it's going to be there as a thing that I can go to and as, a pathway that I've carved through my brain that will stay there. So, and really, like, exercise is psychoactive, food is a psychoactive substance, starvation is a psychoactive state, and these things can work the same way chemically in the brain as drugs. So, really the only difference is, for a drug addict or an alcoholic, abstinence is a whole heck of a lot easier because you're abstaining from a substance rather than abstaining from a set of behaviors. So, the question, sorry, my brain, the question of the week is what eating disorder predisposal personality traits do you have? I can definitely check the box of having an addictive personality. I have the most addictive personality ever. No matter if it's a behavior or a substance that's known to be addictive or not, name it and I can get hooked on it. I will find a way to get hooked on it. So I definitely have a very strong addictive personality. Passivity, not so much. I mean, it's a different kind of passivity because I'm a very loud person and I have a very strong personality. But I want people to like me, and I never want to step on anybody's toes. I mean, I end up doing it because I'm very awkward, but I have extremely hard. It's extremely hard for me to make decisions because, I don't want to answer wrong. I don't want to, I don't want to do anything to make anybody not like me. I don't want to create an effect in the atmosphere of a room that I walk into, but I do. So with me, it's like, and like I can't hurt anybody. I want to serve people. So I guess it's like I really want to be passive, but my personality prevents it. I would love to be, the good little girl that's seen, not heard. But I'm not. What were the other ones? Perfectionism. I used to be a perfectionist. But I had to adjust when I got sick. The first time I had to, I've it's been a process, but I've slowly had to adjust the way I think about myself and adjust what I think my limits are because they have changed, and now I'm a lot more limited. Um, and so I've had to really lower my standards for myself. So I'm not a perfectionist anymore. You know, I've had to get realistic. Um, but I used to be a perfectionist. I used to be a really bad perfectionist. I used to be a workaholic. Um, so yeah, I used to be one of those types. Um, I definitely have dichotomous thinking, black and white thinking. Um, what other traits did I list in that question? Um, I mean, impulse control, certainly. I have none of that. That goes with addictive personality. Um, so yeah, for me, addictive personality is really the big one. And eating disorders are addictive. So, it's kind of like if somebody who's predisposed to be an alcoholic or to be addicted to things, has a drink. Most people can just have a drink and be fine and just, be social drinkers. And it's the same, if somebody with that addictive personality goes on a diet, most people can just diet casually on and off and, not get hooked. But but a person with that addictive personality is like, hey, this is mood altering. I can't stop now. So, um, that's it for Friday, and I'll see you next week.